How much information does the standard person consume every single day? Probably a lot more than you think. But now, how much of that information actually provides people with benefits when all of their sources come from social media, the TV, and the news? I mean, do you really think it's a lot? Or should they be limiting their intake of all unnecessary information to free up brain power like the happiest and most fulfilled people do in our society? So about 3 years ago, when I was at university, and I was probably the most unhappy and unfocused I've ever been in my life, to the point where even handing in a completed essay was a task for me. I mean, there was literally like one occasion I remember where I just straight up didn't hand in an essay because I'd only written about 20 words or something like that. Because instead I'd literally spent like 5 hours scrolling on my phone and looking at people's stories just for hours on my own in my room alone. And I never paid any attention to the information that I was putting into my brain. And I would constantly just consume absolute bullshit. Don't know what happened to my voice there. But yeah, just absolute bullshit from people that I didn't really care about, and just random people that I followed on social media. You know, I followed the news and I followed celebrity gossip and just so much rubbish, man, I can't even explain. So I guess it's no coincidence really that this period of my life was where I just had so many panic attacks and suffered from anxiety. Consuming this much information just made me feel like shit. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Consuming this much negative information is what made me feel like shit. And here's what I didn't realise. This overload of information was a complete hindrance to my mindset, because never in history have we been bombarded with this much information all at once. By consuming so much information from the news and social media, you are literally feeding your brain a terrible diet. You've got to start seeing it as though you're literally overfeeding your brain, and instead of giving it the broccoli and the vitamins it needs, you're feeding it candy floss and Red Bull. You know, the fact that this shit is affecting your sleep and overstimulating your mind is a fucking issue, bro. Especially if you sometimes feel anxious or have a negative mindset. Remember, you are a product of the information that you consume, just in the same way that you are what you eat. And that's why this metaphor of seeing the information you consume as a diet really works. Because if you start seeing the excess information that you're consuming as extra calories, it can really make you realize how important this is. And just in the same way that an excellent food diet makes you feel like you're in good shape and have good skin and feel active, an excellent information diet will help reduce stress and calm your mind and reduce anxiety. Just ask yourself this question, and I'm not trying to like throw conspiracy theories in the air here, but when was the last time, right, you watched the news or you listened to it on the radio as you were driving home from work after work in the evening, or you scrolled through social media and came away from it thinking, bloody hell, I feel on top of the world here, I feel like fucking top dog? Probably never. Like, has that actually happened? No. Why? Because 99.9% of the time it's negative, useless shit, bro. You don't need to know what bad things are happening in that country, or what the new president's gonna do, or what new celebrity is heading into the bloody Big Brother house. Why? Because it doesn't affect you. You have no control over these situations, so just remove them from your life. It doesn't affect you. You don't need to know this information. You can only control your life and the information that you inject yourself with. And this is where you could quite possibly be thinking, oh no, Myron, I need to watch the news because I need to know what's happening. I need to, it's important to know what's going on in the world, I need to know what's going on, pal. What if I miss out on that? Or, what if I miss out on that? And, I need to be up to date with the world. Mate, it's okay. Trust me, bro, it's alright. Just take 5 days away from it all as an experiment to see how you feel. Do not watch the news, do not listen to the radio, do not scroll through social media, and I promise you nothing bad is going to happen to you in this 5 days. I actually used to have the same feelings about worrying what I would miss out on if I didn't consume this type of content. But it wasn't until I actually made a physical intention to stop consuming these things that I realised just how unimportant everything is. And the simple fact is, if something is so important that you need to know about it, I guarantee you somebody will bring it up in conversation, because everybody else is consuming this type of information and word goes around quick. After the 5-day experiment, I guarantee you will want to continue on with this experiment and make it a part of your lifestyle. This is your time to begin disciplining your intake habits, and just watch how your mindset changes as you begin to live in peace. Believe you can, and you're more than halfway there.